Today on the Dennis Michael Lynch Show, there is a coup going on against Trump and MAGA. I am convinced of it. I've been doing this for a long time. I'm going to lay it out for you. There's going to be no doubt in your mind by the time we're done. So strap in, get ready, because today's a good one, and it's all unfiltered.
Dennis Michael Lynch gives you his word, and he will never let you down. He will always fight for America.
The only one who really puts his money where his mouth is Dennis Michael Lynch.
Hello, I'm Dennis Michael Lynch, and I thank you for joining me today. It is Friday. We had originally planned today to run an interview that I had done with Congressman Salazar, and we've decided that we're going to put that off till Christmas week. What I'm doing is I'm doing a lot of interviews, packing them up for Christmas week. So this way you'll still have the Dennis Michael Lynch Show, and I could get a little time off. So, and there's a lot going on, and I said, you know what, I'd prefer to just do a live show today versus doing the interview, and that's number one. Number two in the housekeeping is you will notice I don't have my hat on today, and that is because, I mean, I have a hat over here, but I don't wear that one, but I have a little bit of a headache this morning, and one of the reasons being is because I've been giving up on caffeinated coffee. And it's funny, when you start giving up on the caffeine, you start getting those headaches. So I'm kind of getting out of that. And then lastly, I want to start off the show by giving you an apology for the people who listen to me every single day, the people who are with me all the time. Periodically, you know, I can get so passionate and fired up about something that I will use profanity. And yesterday I used profanity, and it's one thing when you use it once or even when you use it twice, or you have to use it because you're reading somebody else's statement. But I used it at least 6 or 7 times yesterday, and I apologize for that. I'm better than that. I don't need those sort of words to be able to convey my thoughts, and I got caught up. And the reason why I got caught up is yesterday's show was by and large a lot about Candace Owens. And it wasn't really her that got me fired up at that level. It was Charlie Kirk. And I just remind everybody, I'm back in this game working harder than I ever have before in my life because that young man was murdered. And so when I see what's going on with the Candace Owens BS, it really gets me fired up. And so to that degree, the New Yorker came out of me, and I will apologize. I'm going to have to do better. And so I start off the show with saying to those of you who may have been offended by my use of, an F-bomb here and there, I'm sorry, and I'm going to try to refrain from doing that ever again, even when I do get fired up. With that being said, we have a very interesting show for you today, and I ask you, please, if you're on X watching this live, hit the retweet button. If you're on Facebook, please just hit the share button. I'm not going to use any profanity today, so you could safely hit the share button because we're really trying to get our message out, and it is up to you to help us get there. I'm going to start off with, I don't know, Ryan, maybe change cameras here. To my right, you're going to see a gentleman. He is African-American, and his name is Kenyon Dobie. And I embarrassed myself. I shouldn't say I embarrassed myself. I didn't do anything wrong. You know, quite often on this program, I point out people who are criminals who do bad things. And I had somebody send me an email that said, you know, you're always pointing out the bad things about blacks and Latinos and Muslims. I never hear anything about whites. And I said, all right, is that a fair description? Is that a fair thing? And I thought about it, and I said, no, it's not, because I'm always pointing out the ugliness of Democrats, and a large amount of those Democrats are, in fact, white people. And then I'll talk about rhinos, and we're going to be talking about some of those today, and a lot of those are white people. And I will talk a lot about drugs and how it is that whites in America, especially kids, are using drugs at a disproportional rate than other people are. I'll also talk about white female Democrats as being the most dangerous people in America. So I think I balance it, but maybe I don't. So, I wanted to take the criticism. And on that same day that I got the email, coming across my X feed was the picture of this black gentleman, but the picture on the, I guess you're looking on your right-hand side. And that's him laying in a hospital bed. And the story was that this Kenyan Dobie was the gentleman who was stabbed on a North Carolina train by a drunk illegal alien. And apparently he was defending other people on the train, including an elderly woman. And so I posted about that, and I said that he was a hero. And it felt good that I could post it, because really, I don't care who the hero is. I don't care if the hero is white, black, Italian. I don't care who they are. When you're heroic and you stand up for other people, that's a heroic thing. That post went absolutely viral on my Facebook page. Viral. I think it reached probably close to 100,000 people, if not more. And I think one of the reasons why it did that, to be quite honest, is, and I don't want to call it white guilt because that's not it. It's people like me wanting to showcase that there is good out there, even in the demographics that usually show that there's a lot of bad. Well, boy, did I wind up eating crow on this one. The following day, a new picture of this guy arises, and it's the one that I show you here. On the left-hand side, it's the man in the hospital bed, Mr. Dobie, recovering from his stab wounds. And then on the right-hand side is the mugshot of Mr. Dobie. And it turns out, now that he is okay and he's going to survive, Kenyan Dobie, the man who was stabbed by an illegal on the Charlotte train, has now been placed under arrest. He is charged with punching a pregnant woman in the face so hard that he fractured it and then threatened to murder all of her children. So it's like, oh my goodness gracious. And this morning, I did my morning video from the balcony, and I did it about how it is that there is a coup. I truly believe that there is a GOP, Republican-driven rhino coup that is against Donald J. Trump. It is designed to rid of him in the sense that he would have no more political clout, no more political power, and that the MAGA movement, which is one of the most strongest, maybe not the most strongest political movements in American history. Barack Obama had a pretty strong one too. So I don't know which one the historians will say was stronger, but believe me when I tell you that there is a concerted effort to end it. And I think today I'm going to lay out a very, very, very powerful argument for you that is going to basically combine why it is that the Republican Party wants to see Trump gone, and combined with that, which I think all comes into one huge snowball, is there is a concerted effort to dilute, I won't say exterminate, I'll say dilute the white race. Now, automatically, that sounds as if I'm going down this sort of crazy, nutty path that is my attempt to try to make America white again. And it's not the case. I'm going to read some statistics to you because it's not just about America. It's happening worldwide. And by the end of this show, I hope you understand what it is that the white demographic is up against, what the MAGA movement is up against, and the forces that are against us. And I think the title that we used for the podcast today is The Ugly Politics of Washington, D.C., but it's really bigger than that. It's the ugly politics of the world that wants to rid of very good people. Think about this Dobie guy for a second. And I'm going to ask you, I mean, Dobie sort of falls into line with what it is that we know the statistics are. I gave you these statistics last week. 24%, 1 in 4 black men have a felony on their record. Not a misdemeanor, a felony on their record. The same can't be said for whites. And if you do a little bit of research, you will see that the majority of crimes around the world, whether those crimes are violent crimes or whether they are rapes, or, and when I say violent crimes, I mean like assaults, or they're murders, you will see that the white people are never at the top. Ever. Ever. It doesn't matter what country. Ever. It is always the person of color. When you look at the statistics, the decline in white people around the world is significant. Based on the research I did, there are only 3 countries to which, over the last 50 years, the percentage of white people in a country has increased. Only 3. Australia, New Zealand, and Israel, if you want to call Israelis white. Every other country has seen its white population on a percentage basis decline. Why is that? Why is that? Over the last 50 years, if you bring it back to the United States of America, think about the decline you have seen in the cities across the United States. The last 50 years. Think about the decline. It is significant. Periodically, a place like New York will have a little pop. It will come back up. And if you look at the pop, why is it? Well, because you get a Rudy Giuliani, who is a Republican. But look at every single city. Los Angeles, San Francisco, Chicago, Detroit, Newark, New York, Boston. I mean, it is one city, Minneapolis. It's one city after the next that keeps on declining. You know what else declines in those cities? The white population. You can't look at these statistics and ignore them. But at the same time, if you put those statistics out, you are deemed a racist. And it's not about race. It is about statistical findings. If I said to you, look at the percentage of blacks in the NBA over the last 50 years, you would see that there's more blacks than whites. Does that mean it's a bad thing? No. Clearly, blacks are playing better basketball than whites. So I wouldn't be called a racist if I looked at the NBA change in demographic as a positive thing, but I am deemed a racist if I look at the demographics based on negativity. And yet it is what it is. There's no denial. If you look at your U.S. cities, the decrease in whites, the increase in decline. Why is that? Look at the decline in your schools. Think about when you were a kid 50 years ago. You were learning script. You were learning your multiplication tables. You were learning. You had arts. Remember, I was part of the band. I don't know about it. They don't even have bands anymore. If you want to be part of the band, you got to pay for it. You used to get. I remember I was a trumpet player. You know, they would give you the trumpet. You would borrow the trumpet, and you'd have it for the couple of years you were in the band, and then you gave it back. There's none of that anymore. It's all declined. Today, our students are completely watered down. Why is that? Why is that? You can make the argument that immigration has brought in so many people from around the world, third world, non-whites, and they have brought down the schooling to such a degree to where the teachers can no longer afford to teach the lessons like they used to teach them because the other students can't keep up. This is not, I wish it was different. I really wish it was different, but it's not. And of course, if somebody on the left, and there will be people in the feed today that we're going to look at it, and they're going to say, you are being racist. I'm not. I'm reading you statistics. I am reading you statistics. Ireland. If I just think of this in your head for 1 second. Just 1 second. I want you to play a game with me. And I want you to think of people when I say this. I want you to think of China. What kind of person do you see? You're going to say Chinese. If I say Africa, what kind of person do you think? You're going to think black. If I say Ireland, what do you think? You're probably going to think of a guy or a gal with red hair, right? Red hair, blue eyes, and fair skin. We're going to play a video for you right now. Because it's not just happening in America. It's happening around the world. And nobody is focusing on it. People are dabbing at it. But I have the guts to bring it up. Here is a video that is circulating on X right now describing that Ireland is going away from being a predominantly white country. Go.
It's a new Ireland.
It is, though. It is the new Ireland. It's the new Ireland of new, different diversities, multicultural people, Filipinos, Spanish, Africans, mixed people. I met the girl the other day, and I was like, "Where you from?" She goes, "My man's from China, and my dad is from Africa." I'm like, "Whoa, Ireland is unique now. We're mixed." Because I can imagine in 10 years' time, there's going to be Barack Obamas walking around, Beyonce's, and different sorts, mixture of people. So the whites are going extinct here now. So we're taking over.
There you go, Ireland of all places, right? I mean, Ireland's climate isn't the greatest. You know, when you think of Ireland, you think of Scotland. You're always thinking of sort of like cloudy, sort of rainy days. I mean, I've been to Scotland. You don't go there for the weather. And so why is this happening? Now I'm going to ask you another question. I'm assuming in this question that you are white. Actually, it doesn't even matter what you are. Let's say, for instance, that tomorrow, the size of something as big as California and Texas, pretty big, right? Let's just say, for instance, that somewhere in the Pacific, all of a sudden, something went off and there was a huge mass of land that comes out of the water, and now all of a sudden, there's a whole new country the size of California and Texas. Whole new country. And let's say the Chinese discover it. Forget about economics. Just from a population standpoint, the Chinese find it and they fill it up with, let's just say, 40 million people. Would you want to move there? 40 million Chinese. My guess is no. Take that island and let's fill it up with 40 million blacks from Africa. Would you want to move there? My guess is no. Let's say, for instance, you put in that there's 40 million Muslims. Do you want to move there? My guess is no. My guess is no. But if you were to put 40 million whites on that island and you wanted to go there, here's the amazing thing of it all. The Chinese, the Muslims, the blacks, whoever would want to go there with you. They would want to go there. Now, the question is, do they want to go there to take it away from you? Or do they want to go there because they know that you are going to develop that place into something so much better than they ever could themselves? This is not something that we can overlook. I'm going to give you a statistic that is going to drive you absolutely bonkers. The percentage of white people in America in 1920, and I'm going to round these up. Instead of giving you 89.7%, I'm going to raise it up based on the number. So 90%. In 1920, 90% of this country was white. In 1950, 30 years later, same thing. 90% was white. 20 years later, 1970, 87.5% is white. In 1980, we start to see a drop. It's 83%. Okay. In 1990, it goes to 80%. Then in the year 2000, when George Bush Jr. is leaving the borders wide open, we go down to 75%. And we're also now at that point we're going from 250,000 people legal to 1.2 million people legal coming into this country. That is through legal citizenship. But in terms of the visas, we opened it up. Reagan, the visa waiver program, we opened it up. 2000, like I said, we have 75%. 2010, we have 72%. And this is where you need to catch your breath. In 2020, it's 61%. And in 2025, right now, we have dropped under 60% at 59.8%. Look at the decline. Look at the decline. Now, the problem I have with this is that we've done nothing wrong. And none of us asked for this. Ireland didn't ask for it. Germany didn't ask for it. Italy didn't ask for it. France didn't ask for it. In every single situation, we are on the decline. Now, the other part you could bring up is birthing. Why aren't white people reproducing new children in the same way that other people are? It's amazing. The more successful the people, Asians and the whites make the most money. They also have the greatest number of fathers at home. The people who make the least amount of money are the blacks, the Latinos, the Muslims. And yet they're pumping out more kids than the whites and the Asians. Why is that? Well, you could make a very strong argument that the whites and the Asians have been told, take care of yourself. You're able to go out and work. You're able to figure it out. You're not committing the crimes. Go out, figure it out. And not only are you going to pay for you, but you're going to pay for these other people. We need to give them the welfare so this way they can keep on pumping out the babies. What? That doesn't make any sense. And so what we've been buying into is this theory over the course of time that welfare was designed as just giving a temporary safety net. And maybe in the very beginning it was. But somewhere along the line, people in very high places with very demonic mindsets decided that that welfare was the greatest single way to eliminate white people. Because you're going to go to work and you're going to fund not only you, but everybody else. And everybody else is going to get your money and they're just going to get a free ride. And we're going to keep on adding to it and adding to it and adding to it. And as much fraud as ever found in this, we ain't doing anything to stop it. Have you ever noticed that? Have you noticed that we keep on finding fraud and more fraud and more fraud and nothing ever gets done about it? Look at what just happened at the beginning of this year. Donald J. Trump, using Elon Musk, perhaps the smartest man in the world, says, start Doge and figure out where all that money is going. And we figure it out within weeks. If you really wanted to clean up the fraud in this country, you know what you would have done? You would have expanded Doge. You would have put out freaking like the same way we did for ICE. You would have put out advertisements, join Doge. Are you a forensic accountant? Are you somebody who just graduated with a freaking, degree in Excel spreadsheets? We need you. We need people to go in and look through the weeds. And we're paying high dollars amount because you know why we are? Because we can afford it, because we're going to be saving ourselves trillions of dollars over the next couple of years. What did they do? The powers to be, the dirty people in Washington, D.C., the ones you can't figure out who they are, often disguised underneath the umbrella of deep state, made it so this way Elon Musk and Doge would be killed off the island immediately. Think about that. Think about if 40 million white people right now said, we're going to go buy that island in the middle of the Pacific. Leave us be. We don't want fraud. We don't want welfare. We don't want corruption. We don't want any of it. And you know what? We're not taking any Democrats because you're the ones and all the rhinos, even if you're white, you're staying. You keep America. We're going to go to we're going to call it the new island. We have a country called the new island. And we do vetting and we do background checks. And we only want people who have no crimes. You're allowed to have a parking ticket. You're allowed to have went through a stop sign ticket. That kind of stuff you can do. You can't have any felonies. You can't have a list of misdemeanors. You can't have anything that shows that you've been a dirty, bad person. You've got to be shown that you were a good person. And let's go. The Democrats and the rhinos and the people who are coming over here in the country who call us racist, they say, okay, we don't want you. Go. Finally, we've got our country. You know what would happen to the United States of America? It would freaking crumble, just like all the cities we've seen. And then over a course of time, when all of it went destroyed, they look over and they say, that country called the New Island is doing really, really well. Let's go over there. I bring this up because what I'm watching happening in Washington, D.C. makes me sit up on my balcony every morning when I'm praying to God and I'm looking at what's going on and I'm saying, why does this continue to happen? Why is my country on the freaking decline? We just got Donald J. Trump, the House, the Senate, and the freaking Supreme Court, and we can't get anywhere. We can't get anywhere. So I know that there's a coup. There is a coup against Trump. And part of that is to make sure that there is no resurgence of the white population. There is no doubt in my mind. This is why this kid, Nick Fuentes, is rising in popularity. I don't agree with the negative, ugly things he says about Jews. I don't agree with his love of Stalin and Hitler. I don't agree with his derogatory statements against women. It's moronic. But he's got one thing that you got to look at and say, does the kid have a point? And why are so many millions of people flowing in with him? And it's because he sees that there is an actual evisceration of an entire race taking place, and albeit taking place slowly, it is happening. And Trump was going to end the BS, not because he hates people of color, not because he hates minorities, but because he says this isn't right, this isn't right, this is wrong. Ilhan Omar. Let's look at the coup that's happening against Trump and the MAGA audience that's against him. And that's not to say every person who voted for MAGA was white. And this is not to say that every person who's black is bad. But let's be honest. Why do we want to hold Trump down so badly? What has he done? They make this guy out to be somebody who's just so corrupt and horrible. He doesn't make all the right choices. I disagree with many of the things that he does or he says or the way in which he says it. But ultimately, I know his heart is in the right place for America. He's not like Barack Obama. He's not like Joe Biden. He's not looking at these freaks. He doesn't have people in there who are really men and want to call themselves female. He's not sending pallets of cash to Iran. I mean, he's bombing Iran. Why is it that this man is getting so much resistance and from his own party? It's got to be a bigger underbelly here, something that people aren't seeing, they're not recognizing, they're not talking about. Ilhan Omar has given us every single last thing that one would need to open up an investigation. I mean, this is as easy as catching the guy on video, all right? It's, who stole from the house? Well, there you go. You got him in HD, high def in the camera. There's that white guy. There's that black guy. There's that Asian guy. You can see what he is. You can see what he's wearing. He stole all the money and he walked out the house. Let's go get him. It's that simple. We've got all the evidence on Ilhan Omar. She's been married 3 times, maybe a 4th, to her brother. When you do the numbers in terms of when she had her kids and when she had divorces and when she had marriages, it doesn't match. There's an overlap. She married her brother. That is the paperwork. That is the report. That is the accusation against her that nobody has been able to debunk. Nobody on the other side, Ilhan Omar herself, has not been able to say, here's all the proof. Boom, 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 boom. I go back to the HD video of the guy, right? So you say, oh, there's the guy. That's Ryan Lynch. And Ryan Lynch is like, no, it might look like me, but it's not me because here it is. Here's the picture and the video of me and the stamp on my passport that I was in Spain. I wasn't in Florida at the time that happened. All right, so now we know we got a guy who looks like Ryan. We may have made that mistake. Ilhan Omar is not putting out anything like that. All she's saying is Trump's a bigot. That's her defense. It's a lie. He's a bigot. He hates me. He's obsessed with me. No, wait a second. So we've got the fact that the paperwork identifies it. The timeline identifies it. We just found that there was billions of dollars of fraud in the Somali community in Minnesota. You have gone from $65,000 net worth a few years ago to now $30 million. That's a 46,000% return. Not even Warren Buffett could do that. Nobody can do that unless you win Powerball. And she didn't win the lotto. So we have that in front of us. I mean, that you couldn't have more proof. And that $30 million is what she put down on her paperwork because she has to file each year all about what her net worths are. It's disclosure. We've got her on video stating that her objective, her job is to defend Somalia and the Somali people. That's not what she swore into. Why aren't we got her? Where's the investigation into Ilhan Omar? Why isn't the Republican Party and the DOJ and the FBI all leading the campaign against Ilhan Omar? Trump brings it up. The New York Times doesn't, but the New York Post does. Yeah, CNN won't cover it, but the Daily Mail is. You've got newspapers saying there's a there there. Nobody on the left is doing it. But you got a couple of papers. Why isn't every single member of Congress, Ted Cruz? Why isn't Marco Rubio? Why isn't everybody getting on Fox News and saying we need to go after Ilhan Omar? Why isn't there a mad rush to Minnesota to hold this very powerful member of Congress responsible for what may be one of the greatest fraudulent activities ever done in Congress? I could only assume one reason. Because when Trump is gone, the people on the right don't want to be under attack from the people on the left. That's why people say there's a uniparty. It's hard to deny, folks. I bring you to Indiana yesterday. There's a whole thing going on with gerrymandering. Whole thing going on. And gerrymandering, as you know, is how it is that you do redistricting. Now, gerrymandering is the most illegal way of trying to get your party into power. You change districts around about how it is that people are moving in or moving out. You can't be racist in doing it, so you got to be strategic. The Democrats somehow own this process because they've been gerrymandering for a long time. Proposition 50 in California is a prime example. And so you have many different states where there is literally 50% of the population, or let's say 48% of the population is Republican versus 52% Democrat, and yet we have no members of Congress representing you. Look at New Mexico. Look at so many different states where there are Republicans, and yet they've got nobody in Congress representing them. That's gerrymandering. So in Indiana, there was an opportunity to turn that entire thing red. And Trump's like, we need this in order to be able to keep the midterms from being a freaking bloodbath. And Trump sent J.D. Vance to Indiana, and Trump freaking pushed hard for Indiana to wind up doing this whole thing. There was no reason why it shouldn't happen. In the Senate, the state Senate of Indiana, it is a 40-10 dominance of Republicans over Democrats in terms of elected senators. 40-10. They just took a vote to redistrict Indiana, and 21 Republicans favored with the Democrats and said no, and it's not going to get done. And you sit there and say, what? It's not like this one outlier like Thomas Massie or Rand Paul. 21? You're telling me that, and what was the excuse? Ethics? Being ethical? When was the last time you saw a Democrat be ethical? Ethics? These people did this even though Trump threatened that they would be primaried. The way that you don't worry about being primaried is if you don't think that the president is going to have any cachet, he's going to have any pull, any clout by the time it turns out that you're running for office again. So you keep this long arm's length, then some distance away from Trump. You have no fear. One person, two person, 21 people. Don't tell me there's not a coup to bring Trump down. Here is a video of Mike Johnson being asked about how he feels about the Indiana situation. Listen to this BS.
Does the Indiana vote, are you worried about Trump's grip on power after Indiana? Do you think it shows he's a lame duck?
Not at all. We're not
Is he a lame
worried
duck?
about, no, he is not a lame duck. He's the most powerful president of this generation and many others. We have a lot more work to do together. The outcome in Indiana is inconsequential to that. We are going to win the midterms. No, he did. No. He did not put in major pressure campaign for it. He let his opinion be known as he does on everything, all the time, all day long. We win some, we lose some. It is no indication whatsoever about what's going to happen next year in the midterm elections. We are excited about that. We have a great campaign to run. We go forward regardless of how each one of these states comes out. We're going to win on whatever maps are presented. So I'm very bullish. I'm more bullish today than I was yesterday, and you'll see that. And you guys underestimate us. You'll see that.
Sir, is Trump continuing Venezuela?
Okay. So here's the part that he doesn't say. He doesn't say it out loud. He says, we feel very confident about the midterms. We think things are going to go really good. I mean, if you believed what he just said there from a standpoint of he's defending Trump, if you think he's really defending Trump, I have oceanfront property in Nebraska for you. Yeah. I mean, a $10 million property, I'll give it to you for $50. I mean, that's how silly you've got to be. Yeah, you know why he's confident about the midterms? Because he knows that Trump's going to go down in flames. That's why he's confident. Let me give you a little bit of information that you may find very, very interesting. The number of bills passed by Congress in a president's first year in office. H.W. Bush, 242. Clinton, 209. Bush Jr., 109. Obama, 120. President Trump in 2017, 96. Biden, 122. This year, 5. You're going to tell me the Republicans aren't stonewalling Trump? You're going to tell me that there isn't some kind of concerted effort right now? What about with Senator Noem, who is now putting up this front that he is trying to help the president, where he's really not? Because there are 47 federal judge positions open on the federal bench. 47. That means right now that President Trump could have 47 additional conservative judges. But Noem and the senators, they're not helping. They're delaying everything. They're delaying everything. If you really wanted to win, why would you let the clock run out? This makes no sense. We're waking up to it. Why is it? Why is it that you want Trump gone? Why is it? Each one of these people, Noem, Johnson, all these senators, all these House representatives, all of them, it doesn't matter whether it's on the state level or on the federal level. They all have donors. And if you go back and you look where those donors run through, these are all the people who are trying to take our demographic and water it down to nothing. Because we accomplish things. They don't want MAGA, because when they look at MAGA, what they do, even though this is not the case, Trump got a record number of Latinos, a record number of blacks, a record number of Asians. MAGA is always and forever going to be deemed the white Gen X, the white boomer party. And they want us gone. They want Trump gone. Ted Cruz yesterday was sitting next to Trump, all proud about doing, signing this order to make it so this way AI can be developed faster and better and stronger. It's a setup. Doing that here in this country is going to eliminate jobs, many white-collar jobs. White-collar jobs are usually held by people with white skin. So you're going to wind up seeing an incredible amount of white people who are now going to be on the unemployment line. And they're going to be unemployable because their types of jobs are going to be wiped out with technology. Tell me where I'm wrong. Poke a hole in my argument. Poke the hole. I'll give you another example. Obamacare. Look at Obamacare. Look what's going on right now. One of the reasons why Trump is going to lose the midterms is because affordability in this country is basically non-existent. I talked to you yesterday about Ashley's healthcare. Mary and I started looking yesterday. I'm panicked. The only way for us to get lower health care is to say yes to subsidies in Obamacare, which is riddled with fraud and has always been the worst freaking policy that we've had other than the open borders and the baloney of asylum claims. Obamacare has been a nightmare for 10 years. It is riddled with fraud. It is draining people of their money. It is a nightmare. The Republicans have had more than a decade to come up with a replacement. And it's not like there aren't ideas and other working things that are out there that can be done. But the Republicans won't touch it. They won't touch it Because when you look at the demographics, and when you look at the people who are buying health insurance, it is by and large white people. So what are you doing by raping them of their money so this way they can protect themselves when they go to the hospital? When they need a doctor? You rape their money. Because at the end of the day, if you don't have your health, you have nothing else. You don't think it's by design that there's never a replacement? McCain, Senator McCain, who's now dead, he's the one who stopped it when Trump wanted to replace and redo a whole new health system and get rid of Obamacare. McCain, the Republican, is the one who prevented it from moving forward. He's also the one who was part of the Gang of Eight amnesty bill. That doesn't make sort of your eyebrows go up? Boy, who is supporting him? Who is donating to him? Everybody right now is looking at AIPAC. That's not, listen, you're wasting your time. You're being fed a line. You're being misdirected. Do I think AIPAC is good? No, I don't think any lobbying's good. But at the end of the day, when you look at AIPAC compared to the other lobbying that's going on to destroy, I mean, I'll go back. I didn't want to touch this today, but just let's look at it. The Muslim world of Qatar, Saudi, Egypt, Kuwait, all the money that's coming over into this country from them collectively in lobbying and buying up dwarfs Israel, dwarfs AIPAC, but you'd never know that listening to social media reports or looking at the propaganda that's being spit out. Who wants to take over the country from within? Have you ever heard a Jew? Have you ever heard Netanyahu? Anybody say that they want to take the country over from within? Anybody from Ireland? Anybody from Germany? I mean, I talk about this all the time. Here we go again. Why is it that the Republicans are allowing you and me to have to double our money in order to keep lesser coverage? Trying to kill us off the island. No voter ID. The big, huge thing. 2020 was stolen. Stop the steal. What have you seen? Have you seen anything out of the Republican Party? Anything out of the GOP at all about putting up voter ID or stopping the ballots, the mail-in ballots, the single greatest way of fraud? This has been discovered 90 times over. The number one way of fraud in elections is the mail-in ballot. What are the Republicans doing? If I were a Republican, if I were Johnson, if I were Ted Cruz, I would be saying, I got no other subject that I'm dealing with other than the mail-in ballot. Jasmine Crockett is running for senator in the state of Texas. She just put out a video, and what do you think it's about? Encouraging people to get their mail-in ballots. Gee, I wonder why that is. How is this black radical Democrat in Texas gonna win? Mail-in ballots. Play it.
People have been saying, what can I do in this moment? How can I help? Because people are feeling anxious, right? Here it is. We've got vote by mail applications that can be requested right there on January 1. People will start getting their ballots in January so that they can vote. And then early voting starts in the middle of February. So it's go time right now. And if you are interested in joining the team, go to jasmineforus.com, sign up to be a volunteer, because I do believe in the power of the people and taking all of this harnessed energy and using it to make sure that people understand it's bigger than Texas. This is about our democracy. This is about this rogue Supreme Court in which the Senate is the only body that actually has oversight over the Supreme Court.
It's funny, I'm reading one of the comments here on Facebook. It says, your problem is hate. You want to create hate on and on with no real solutions, just spilling hate with all your rhetoric. Oh, no, that's not the case at all. I have solutions up and down the aisle. I have solutions. And they're solutions that would help all Americans, not just whites. They would help blacks. They would help Asians. They would help Latinos. Totally. I talk about my solutions every day. In fact, I bang the solution drum so much that sometimes from a show perspective, I'm like, oh, it's like playing the same episode over and over and over. There's only so many times you could watch the last episode of The Sopranos until you know what's coming. Yeah, I'll go solutions all day long. The problem is that the solutions are never applied. There are many people who have the same solutions as I do. Mandatory E-Verify is one of them. If you put mandatory E-Verify into this country, 100% we would get rid of the illegal aliens by, I would guess, at least 65 to 70% of them would self-deport eventually somehow because they'd have no money. What does that mean? Are you going to see a deportation of white people leaving back to Mexico or to Ireland? No. You're going to see a lot of Latinos. You're going to see a lot of foreigners. You're going to see a lot of people with different skin color than me going because they're the ones who are the illegal aliens. So multiple things would wind up happening. The costs for Americans in general, for everybody, would wind up going down. Black folks who are minorities living in inner cities would wind up having more jobs open up for them because the illegal aliens weren't taking them. Maybe if they started having a job, they wouldn't need to be on welfare anymore. The Democrats wouldn't be in power anymore. I mean, there's a whole slew of things that would wind up happening. But when you're trying to take out the white population in this country, this is the number one way of keeping it in there. Keep the expenses up high so I have to pay for everybody. Keep it up so this way our jobs are being stolen. Keep it up so this way my kid is getting watered down in school. Keep it up so this way I'm on a long line in order to be able to get services I need at a hospital because third world people are here. It's that simple. It's that simple. So I have solutions, but nobody wants to hear them. Trump has solutions, but nobody wants to hear them. Nobody wants to vote for him. They just keep kicking the line down. And what you do is you use what everybody's always used, and it doesn't work anymore. You're a hater, you're a bigot, you're a racist, you're a misogynist, you're a xenophobe. No, you can call me whatever you want. Sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me. What hurts me is when you destroy my country and when you leave nothing for my children and my grandchildren. There's solutions. Trump has solutions. They just won't let them get in. I'll give you a prime example. We have right now narco-terrorists from Venezuela. Venezuela is one of the most corrupt, dirty countries in the world. It was one of the most richest countries in the world. Oil rich, doing great, selling its resources. And then all of a sudden, Maduro comes in and changes the whole thing around. It becomes basically a socialist, communist country. Everybody's on bread lines. Nobody's got any resources. It's freaking horrible. He's keeping all the money for himself. He's sending drugs, trying to destroy the United States of America. He's in bed with Iran, bed with Russia, bed with China. And Trump's like, no, you're not going to do this anymore. You're not going to poison my kids. You're not going to try to eviscerate my population and destroy my country. We're going to stop you. He's got Pete Hegseth. He puts Pete Hegseth in. Pete Hegseth is a war veteran. He's somebody who understands the military in and out. He's not going to be corrupt. He can't be bought for. He's an imperfect human being, but I haven't met anybody who walks on water since Jesus. And so what winds up happening? Hegseth goes in there and he's like, okay, we're going to bomb every single one of those freaking narco terrorists who's going to try to come over and poison and kill my kids. I'm going to kill you before you get here. And now what's happening? The Democrats, led by a guy named Shri Thanadar, who's from India, who didn't become a citizen until he's 33 years old, who looks like, wait until you see this guy. This looks like a skit. When I first saw this, I thought it was a skit from Saturday Night Live. I didn't think it was true. And then all of a sudden, I'm like, whoa, this is really a freaking U.S. congressman. He was just in Congress yesterday, screaming and yelling at Kristi Noem at DHS. We'll get to that in a moment. But then yesterday, he's also starting now the impeachment of Pete Hegseth for bombing narco-terrorists. Play it.
Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth is uniquely unqualified for his role. Every day, it becomes clearer that he is engaging in unlawful, illegal activity. That is why today I am preparing 2 articles of impeachment against Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth. One for murder and conspiracy to murder, and another for reckless and unlawful mishandling of classified information. Recently, Pete Hegseth has been under increased scrutiny for his direct orders to kill everybody on a small civilian boat off the coast of Venezuela, which had no indication of being hostile. And we now know that Pete Hegseth not only carried out these strikes, but ordered those under his command to kill everybody and leave no survivors, an illegal act under our own laws of war.
Now, it'd be one thing if it was with this guy, started with this guy and ended with this guy, but it's not. Pete Hegseth is doing an incredible job at rebuilding our military, bringing back a spirit of patriotism, making sure that we're protecting America. He's one of the most effective cabinet members that Trump has, and they want to impeach him. The other one who is highly effective is Noem of Department of Homeland Security. They have her yesterday on the dais. She's under, Congress's spell, just going in after it, just trying to destroy her. And what happens? We've got a Congressman Ramirez who now is going to impeach her. Play it.
So look, I want to be very clear. You have misused resources appropriated by Congress. You've engaged in unethical behavior. You have repeatedly made false and misleading statements to Congress and to the press, and you've undermined the separation of powers and disregarded the role of Congress and the courts. Bottom line, you lie with impunity. You reject checks and balances, and you ignore Congress and the courts. Your options are limited. Either you're going to resign, Trump's going to fire you, or you will be impeached. I've already called for your resignation. You may remember I hand-delivered my request to you back in May, and I urge you to reconsider resignation because I've taken the first step towards your impeachment, and I've called on the Judiciary Committee to open an investigation into your lawlessness. Mr. Chairman, I know that at the end we'll be entering a number of articles into consent, but since I have a few moments, I ask unanimous consent to enter into the record a letter calling the Judiciary Committee to investigate Secretary Noem's impeachable offenses. Whatever you choose, the American people will have justice, Secretary, and you will be held accountable. I'm going to make sure of that every single day.
So think about it here for a second. So far, I keep on showing you that we've got these minorities coming in, and there is a focus between them and the rhino whites and the Democrat whites who hate Trump, who are bought and paid for by people who want to destroy the United States of America, coming in and going after the most effective people who Trump has on his team. Between Hegseth, we've got the National Guard going into cities, cleaning up many of the crime-ridden areas. You got people in Nashville saying, black people in Nashville saying, President Trump, thank you. I could finally walk to the store again. And what winds up happening? In Washington, D.C., you get a Muslim radical, goes and shoots, kills one, and freaking basically almost destroys the life of the other one, the National Guardsman. They won't call it a terror attack, even though this guy screams, Allahu Akbar. They won't call it a terror attack. No. So instead, now what we got is we've got the African-American Bernie Thompson telling DHS secretary that something unfortunate in terms of an accident happened. Listen to this crap.
Madam Secretary, you and the gentleman from NCTC reference the unfortunate accident that occurred with the National Guardsman being killed.
You think that was an unfortunate accident?
I mean,
it was a terrorist attack.
Wait. Look, I'll get it straight. Then you can
He shot our National Guardsman in the head.
Look, Mr. Chairman, will you direct the witness to allow me to ask my question? It was an unfortunate situation.
So, yeah, an unfortunate accident. And you see, he won't change his words. Absolutely. Let's play the last clip here from Secretary Noem, who I think has been doing an outstanding job, and she calls it for what it is. Play it.
Every day we're able to go out and encounter and bring to justice individuals
who are raping our children, murdering our mothers, our grandmothers, our families are devastated by them. And I'm shocked at the Democrats' constant defense of these individual criminals over the American citizen that is out there just trying to live their lives, put food on the table, and live the American dream.
So the question becomes this as we wrap up. Is there a coup against Trump? I say there is. Is it a concerted uniparty coup? I say it is. Wrapped up in a whole donor class that wants to see the United States fall to its knees. We have a president who equally treats everybody the same. Whether you're black, whether you're white, you get treated the same. Latino, you get treated the same. But that's not good because that rebuilds America. You got a guy who wants to lower the costs and eviscerate the fraud and give people like you and me and my kids and everybody else the chance to rise up again and live the American dream. But when you don't want to have a population of white people, you keep it so this way you ruin that family unit. You destroy the white family unit. You create more poverty-stricken families. You create more poverty-stricken cities. You water down every single last aspect of a demographic. So my message today isn't anti-white or pro-white, anti-black or pro-black, anti-Latino or pro-Latino. It's pro-America. America has always had a large population of white folks, just like Africa has a large population of blacks, and Ireland had a large population of Irish, and China has a large population of Chinese. There's nothing wrong with that at all. But I always ask you to go back to the theory I gave you about the island in the sea. You know and I know that if we took that island over, and I say we in terms of the white, Christian, female, male, without any crime on their docket, every single last demographic around the world would want to come and take it because A, they know we would build it into something that was like a nirvana, and B, because they want to eviscerate us. So my message today is pro-black. It is pro-Latino. It is pro-Asian. It is pro-white. It's pro-America. In the same way that if I was in Ireland and said we should keep the Irish here as being the dominance, it's pro-Ireland. If I was over in Saudi Arabia saying why it is that we should keep it pro-Muslim, it's pro-Muslim. So this isn't a racist show. This isn't a racist commentary. It is the rationale behind why it is that your president cannot succeed, because there is an undercurrent, there is an under-evil that wants to see to it that the decline of America as it once was continues to continue. And part of that plan is to rid of the white American male, female, kid, and family unit. If anybody has an argument against me, please put it up here at Facebook. And if it is really, really good, I'll post it on your behalf. In fact, I'll even invite you on the show to have a conversation with me. But there's not a single person who will be able to debunk anything I've said today, and that's that. You have a great weekend. The bell has not rung. We're still in this fight. We're in this fight as blacks, as whites, as Latinos, as Asians, as pro-Trump, as MAGA, as conservatives. They have not taken us down yet. And they won't, for as long as we know who the enemy is and what they're trying to do. And I think we may have kind of figured it out today. Time will tell. Enjoy your weekend. With any luck, God's with me. I'll be with you on the other side on Monday. Until then, God bless you. Enjoy. We'll talk to you soon.
Get the Dennis Michael Lynch podcast every day by subscribing on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, and download the DML News app from the Google Play Store or the Apple App Store for breaking news, merchandise, films, exclusive content, and Team DML.